Check, Mike, check. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. This is the morning show, Stock Market TV. You know the deal by now. Spencer, JC. Steve will be here, I think. He won't be on camera. His camera is on the fritz, but I think he'll be here nonetheless. Good show today. We got Julius De Kempenaer hopping on to talk relative rotation at 9. We'll have Kenny. We'll have Sean. And we'll talk about China, which is having itself not the best morning ever. It's okay, right? Nothing goes straight up. Maybe we'll talk a little basketball later. It is, after all, national holiday for college basketball fans everywhere. And we're speaking Spanish in the chat, which is great, apparently. I don't know what that has to do with today. But if you're in there and you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, you want to hit the like button, I would appreciate that. It says so right there on the screen. And I've got JC at least on camera. Steve lurking backstage somewhere. So let's get JC on here, and then we will see where the conversation takes us, shall we? Let's do that.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Hey, what's up?
Happy college basketball day, Hanukkah, or Christmas?
Yes. All in one. It's
all in one.
It's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It's all in one.
Big day for college basketball fans everywhere. This is a very unproductive day for American institutions all over the country.
This is the number one time of year that men get vasectomies. This is a known phenomenon.
Isn't it the Masters?
I read many years ago that it was this period of the back half of March. So that kind of includes the Masters.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's March Madness and the Masters. That's a good point. When they cut my nuts off, I had too many kids, so I couldn't just sit there and do nothing.
I get it, man.
You know, I had to actually be a father. So. And you'll see when it's your turn, my friend. It's not like you're just going to sit there on a bag of peas and watch, drink beers and watch golf all day or basketball. That's not how life works in real life.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm having dreams about it. It's weird. Anyway, okay.
Having dreams about getting your nuts cut off? Or
no. Not that. Dreams about parenting.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I didn't even do the drugs or anything because I've never done drugs. So
I'm not talking about that.
It's not so bad.
I'm not talking about that. Right. Let's talk about things that matter here, and then okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Dow futures down 40 basis points, down 170 points. That's 42,160, still above that key 42,000 level. S&P 500 futures, 5,700 and change, down 40 basis points as well. It's about 22 points, still above that key 5,600 level. So S&P and Dow hanging in there okay. The NASDAQ still has work to do, down 0.5%, leading the way to the downside this morning, down 100 points. 30-year bond futures up 0.75%, back above 118. Big move for bonds today as rates come off. Crude oil hanging in there pretty well, 67 flat, up a couple pennies. Copper sticking that landing, 5.10 for copper, up a couple pennies on the day. Gold also up a couple pennies, 30, 50, new all-time highs for like 5 out of the last 6 days or something like that for gold. Very, very evident strength there. $34 for silver, down 80 basis points with the VIX still above 20. Still above 20, inching slightly higher this morning. Over in funny money land, you got Bitcoin, big move yesterday, 85,370, down 1,500 points, almost 2% to the downside today. Ethereum down 3%, back below 2,000, 1990 for Ethereum. Solana hanging on to that 120 level. Big move yesterday. Back down to 130. Down 3.5% this morning. With the total crypto market cap, Mr. Spencer Israel, off the highs, but 2.75 trillion. Well, off the lows, too.
Off the lows is what I'm saying.
The lows were 2.4 trillion. Here we are at 2.75 trillion, and the highs were 3.7 trillion.
Well, Yes.
So about a full $1 trillion in market cap, American dollars.
Clearly, we are off the highs. More importantly, we are off the lows. Right.
Somewhere in no man's land, which seems to be the big theme here, particularly in Bitcoin. Bitcoin above that big 70 level. Those are the prior cycle highs, but below the 90 level, which is that broken support. So kind of stuck in this box. So, what Spencer's talking about, total crypto market cap, with Bitcoin being 60% of that, makes sense that they're behaving similarly, right?
Yeah, I haven't been looking really at the behest of Louis and you guys. Really haven't been looking too much at crypto over the last, I don't know, month more, because there's not been much to do with it, and I'll get more involved when Louis says he's getting more involved, pretty much. But Louis is in sit on hands mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your time horizon. I like
true.
what Sean said yesterday about getting in. If you want to buy it at 70 or you want to buy it at 90, why not buy it at 80? Split the difference.
Not wrong.
I did some of that.
Yeah, yes, you did.
I didn't quite think about it the way that he did like that. But I like how he put it, and I dipped my toe in a little bit. No big deal. It's not going to change my life in either direction. Just have a little bit of exposure, and then I'll really start putting on real trades above 90, and I'll put on real trades above 102. That's kind of how I think about it. Big news, so over the weekend, I put out some thoughts on a potential Bitcoin setup. I talked about it on the conference call Monday night. Spencer, if you could drop the link to the conference call from Monday. Guys, if you were not there Monday night, this was a really important one. We talked about some key themes, busted a few myths, and walked through some interesting trades. I think this Tesla is certainly one of them. So Spencer, drop the link in the chat. Guys, go ahead and click that. But then last night, so part of the whole thing was the sentiment, right? People were really upset with Elon, getting a lot of anecdotal evidence from normies, and civilians that I'm speaking to that are on an unsolicited basis just hating on Elon Musk when, I don't even bring it up. This is unsolicited hatred towards the guy, which I find fascinating, particularly in a name like this, where we're specifically looking for opportunities to kind of fade sentiment at extremes. Certainly, to me, in my humble opinion, looking somewhat extreme. Can you throw up that Tesla chart, please, Spencer?
Yes. Slide 3 here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So, Tesla returned 3,000% in that breakout.
Yeah, right? We know.
The prior breakout. 3,000%. And I feel people are like, oh, yeah, 3,000%, nothing. That 3,000% represented more shareholder value created faster than any CEO in world history. Facts only, right? It's not about the Tesla or the Elon or the Trump. It has nothing to do with that. Facts only. More shareholder value was created faster than any CEO in world history by a long shot, including NVIDIA, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason.
So hold on.
Okay.
3,000% return, and it went from 80 billion in market capitalization to 1.3 trillion in about 18, 20 months. So a well-deserved multi-year correction from that, I would argue, is very well-deserved. And what I think is really interesting is that this correction, the well-deserved correction after that 3,000% gain, has caused investors to completely forget about that 3,000% gain. Like it never even happened. Oh my God. But the truth is, when you study markets and you see moves like that, those are not the end of things. Structurally, there's a lot there. So I think an upside resolution above that 400, 500, if we could take that out, I think the upside risk, this has nothing to do with politics. The upside risk is that this becomes the largest company in the world. Like that's the risk. Whether that happens or not, I have no idea. Right. But that's the risk. So that's how kind of like I'm thinking about it. Yeah. And then did you see throw up the news slide too there? Did you see the tampon guy yesterday going off? Like literally in a speech, the tampon guy is like talking about how like he checks his app, like his
Wait. Why is he the tampon guy?
This is the guy who puts tampons in men's bathrooms. This is that guy.
Dude, what are you talking about? This is the governor of Minnesota.
Maybe, but he puts tampons in men's bathrooms.
He doesn't do that.
Not the point. The tampon guy's up on stage yesterday talking about how he gets off during the day by watching Tesla stock go down.
Like no, he is the tampon guy.
Okay. What does he say? He gets his tickles. What does he call it? I get my tickles during the day. What did he say?
Yeah. No, they call him Tampon Tim on Capitol Hill.
It's called just cheap. That's just cheap points to get an applause at a rally, whatever the hell that was. Rally speech. I don't know.
Maybe, but the fact is that he's like trolling Tesla stock, the tampon guy, like on stage. You know, to me, in addition to the other things that I was seeing over the weekend, talking with people that are on an unsolicited basis hating on Elon. Now
this means nothing.
Guy's going off on
this
the
means
stock.
less than
not
nothing.
even on Elon, on the stock.
This means nothing. Come on.
I guess we'll see, Mr. Spencer Israel.
Let's not forget. Let's not forget. Tesla went through a 75% drawdown just a couple of years ago. It was not that long ago.
Strazza, am I crazy or is there something here?
With the Tesla or with Tampon Tim?
Well, both, right?
Okay. Just another example, I guess. Just the latest.
Really
they had a.
Is this worth acknowledging that this took place yesterday?
It's a huge drawdown.
I thought it was stupid, but all right.
Huge drawdown for Mag 7 stock, right? So you always want to pay attention. In the information today, Tesla plans to soon introduce long-awaited battery innovation in Cybertrucks. Ooh.
Tesla's also there's something about $1.4 billion missing from their balance sheet somewhere. It's unaccounted for. I didn't really read into it, so I don't really know. But some accounting questions. I don't know. It's 1.4 billion.
Can you throw up slide 4?
You guys already covered the Philadelphia Fed and the jobless claims.
No. Oh yes, we covered the Philadelphia Fed and the jobless claims. Yes.
Is it the farm payrolls? Anybody like MicroStrategy?
No, these are the claims.
No.
MicroStrategy is probably scooping today.
It's down in the pre-market a little bit, but man, if we get above 3.25, woo!
I was up at like 4:30, and things were looking a lot better then. You saw that?
Yeah, I think the Swiss bank. The
Swiss,
not to be confused with the Swiss Beats. The Swiss bank decided to piss people off or something like that. I don't know. I think they cut rates too much. I don't know, something like that.
Is that it? Is that what did it? All right. Well.
But yeah,
futures already went from green to red this morning, I guess is my point.
Yeah, or earlier this morning. So you could take this chart off, but I think that this one is setting up for a squeeze as well. You could take. So here's. I got my ear to the ground, Strazza, talking with some smart folks, some of which you know, some of which you don't know. And I'm hearing rotation out of Asia, out of Europe, and back into America. Stat.
It's about time.
What do you think? Do you believe that narrative? These are smart folks. These are not normies. These are pros.
Who's saying it?
You know, we'll talk offline, but you know,
you're going to get a big cool off period in this trend, even this rotational trend, right? That we've seen a big cool off. It'll last a quarter or two. People will get tired of it and stop talking about it, and that's when you want to reload up the boat, probably. But it's extended right now. Right?
Yeah. And you got everybody's like before. Remember when we were the only people talking about international equities?
Trust me.
And to be fair, we're always talking about international equities. So it's not like it's just now. That's the whole thing. People who don't normally talk about international equities, like the fact that we're talking about Poland and Brazil and Chile, like we're always talking about Poland and Brazil and Chile, you know?
I watch the networks, and the thing about the networks is they're always buying the dip, so that's not a signal because they're never not buying the dip.
What do you mean by networks? What does that even mean?
The people on
people know the financial networks. Right?
How many networks do you watch? Tell me you have one of those things with like multiple TVs where you have all the networks.
There are 3 big ones that I'm kind of rotating between. You're familiar.
CNBC, Bloomberg, and Fox.
This isn't new to you. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
what about the TD Ameritrade network? What about them?
No, it's the Schwab network.
I don't dabble.
Come on.
I don't dabble. I'm talking about the stuff that's on the television. I'm trying to watch the stuff that's actually on in trading rooms. And the reality of the situation is that if you go to any hedge fund or any big financial institution, they're watching this. They have a screen on most of their desks, and one of the screens is one of these networks. So that's why I watch.
You know what I love? When I go do or when I used to do TV, and you go do you go to the studio, which are, all of them do the same thing, and they have the other networks on.
Yeah.
Like you'll be in one network, and then like they'll have all the other TVs with all the other networks and what they're playing, like literally in the studio, so the anchor could watch the other TV. There's so much TV going on,
and then
like people are making TV, they're watching other TV. It's like a big TV orgy.
Well, JC, it's more than that, right? I learned when I tagged along with you a couple times.
They need to know.
They're right next to each other too, right? Like right next door is the other one, so they must all hang out.
Well, CNBC's in Jersey, and Fox is on 6th Avenue.
CNBC has multiple studios, but yes,
I thought CNBC
has
had
multiple
one
studios
right next to Fox in Midtown.
They got their GE. They got their GE studio. They got their. They used to do stuff in the Nasdaq. I don't know if they do anymore. They got Jersey, and then Fox is on 6th Avenue. They have a zillion studios in that building. They got studios in the building next to it too, by the way. And then Bloomberg's all on Lexington. That's a sick building, that Bloomberg building.
So Baidu's going through it today.
Going through what?
Getting accused of circumventing AI rules here in the United States. They're working with the deep seekers.
Oh my God, I can't believe it that a Chinese company is breaking rules in America. Wow.
They denied the breach. They denied the breach. Denied allegations.
They acknowledged that they were being accused.
Yeah, mornings like this are times where I don't put a lot of stock into like headlines, because you could really pick your headline this morning on China. You could say it's Baidu. You could say it's Pinduoduo having mixed earnings. Doesn't matter.
Listen, this is spicy. So
we know what it is.
Hold on.
No.
This is good. The teenage daughter of Baidu vice president, not going to try, posted personal information of other users, such as their phone numbers, after getting into an online argument. Baidu said all employees and executives are prohibited from accessing user data, and the information posted by the teenager originated from doxing databases on foreign platforms. So they're claiming that she released this private information that only Baidu should have, but as the vice president's daughter, she didn't get it from Baidu. She got it somewhere else. That's interesting. Things that happen. Hey, technology. All right.
Can we throw up Palantir, please? Throw up that slide 5. You know, these Fibonacci extensions keep coming into play. They become they're very, very helpful. And if you Strazza is somebody who you know has really been all over this for a long time. You know, like when I think Palantir, like, you know, you come to mind. Like you had been pounding the table for a long, long time. Look at that breakout last year, and look at the follow through. What an absolute beast. Hitting those extension levels, finding support at those extension levels. Is this over?
I don't know. Might be over for now.
Steve's been out. You've been out for a minute there, right?
Yeah,
it's just the same
side. Steve is in or not doesn't mean that it's over or continue.
No, I know.
Spencer, yes, I sold like 5/6 of my position.
5/6.
Yep, because it was just a right sizing. It got very, very large as the top performer.
Oh,
yeah.
What a humble brag! It got too big. I had to lighten up.
No, but that happens.
True. The trend needs to hold on here, and I think the simplest way, VWAP from the pivot highs. If you're back above there, who knows where this thing goes, right? Back in rally mode, look out. But I think you want the whole space to work with it, right? Like if that's happening,
software.
I was also going to ask that question, JC. What is the Palantir space exactly?
Software, or is it defense?
It's ARC, I think.
Really?
I think you want the spec tech to be going. Yeah. I mean, this one, valuation is as crazy as it gets. I want to see stocks like Shopify correct some damage. I want to see the ARC index.
I agree with you on that, bro.
Complete a reversal.
I think you're.
You got to remember where these things came from. Okay. Palantir had an origin story where this was the archiest stock. Just because it's the top performer in the S&P 500. Guess who would the top performer in the S&P 500 would have been the year before? Coinbase, right? It doesn't change the fact that it's a crypto stock. Palantir is still very, very speculative stock. Just because everybody's finally embraced it and is now paying attention, I don't think changes that. because they talk
here.
about it on the networks all the time.
Do they talk about it on the networks?
Oh,
Here,
oh God.
Here, I got a chart for you guys. You really think? I mean, listen, you might be right. But this
Okay. BRB in the chat said it's momentum. I would agree. That could be its peer group too. Problem is the momentum index stinks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that one.
Throw up slide 2.
Shop is a Canadian stock. Doesn't change the fact that it's speculative growth. Are there any stocks that are more expensive than Shopify or Palantir?
What do you mean by expensive? Like a PE ratio?
Yeah, like one of the PE ratios. Any one of the
People
PE
still look
ratios?
at those?
Yeah.
Palantir is still in the top 10 holdings of the iShares MSCI US Momentum Factor ETF.
It's a top holding.
So you think
the timing of that?
You think that ARC's got to get going for Palantir to get going? Yeah.
No. I think I have higher odds of being right in Palantir if ARC is working. Okay.
That's probably, you're not wrong. That's probably right. Yeah, that's right. All right. I'll give you that one.
A lot of low probability. There's a lot of low probability setups out there that I'm getting involved in. I want a high probability setup. It's a tough market, JC. This is a no follow through market. You see this again today? Good Lord. Not easy out there. Not easy buying these dips. Not easy for you dip buyers.
Becoming easier for dip buyers as the indexes make new lows over the last couple of weeks and fewer stocks are participating to the downside. That's interesting.
Huh?
So easier than it was 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Just if math means anything to you, right?
I like math.
Yeah, math is good. All right, Spencer, who do we got today? We got Julius De Kempenaer?
That's correct.
That is fantastic. Do we have a one Kenneth Glick in the house?
Not in the house yet. He's coming to the house. He's not in the house.
And then who else do we have? We've got
Sean provided. I know he's under the weather, so I hope he's coming on. But I really don't know because I know he's been powering through a flu or something. So,
yeah. It's been hitting us all. Strazza's about to get it.
I do feel a little under the weather.
Dude, those conferences, Steve, are super spreader events. You know that.
Super spreader events. Yep, 100%. Definitely. It's coming.
I'm trying to find a we got Kenny in the house. I'm trying to find a list of stocks more expensive than Palantir. So far, I'm just searching right now. All I've got is Snowflake, but there are many. I know that was a rhetorical question, Steve, but yeah, there are many stocks actually more expensive than that. All right, let's get Kenny on here, and then we'll do Julius.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my club, they tug it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Kenny Glick in the house with someone, man.
You know what? That song gets me every time. Yeah, at the end. I dig it.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing more trading or gambling on college basketball today, you think?
I'm gonna put on my 75 leg parlay today. So take a bunch of favorites and then I throw in a couple of
And is it just today, or do you like sprinkle that over the next 3
No,
days?
today's where you take favorites. You have to parlay because the odds are so stacked against you, and I don't want to lay 25.
So you just
points.
parlay all favorites?
What I do is I'll put together some of the favorites, and then I'll throw some of the spreads on there, the games that I like, and the most I'll go is about 7 teams today. But that's
seven game parlay.
Yeah, this is the only day you want to do it.
And something like that on $1,000 gets you how much?
It depends. It depends. Yeah, usually I'm looking for the ones where I could put 100 to win 1,000, but the opening round,
that's it. You got 17 parlay, and it's only a 10-to-1 payout
because you have odds where you have games where you have to lay out like $4,000 to win 100. You got guys, you got 30-point spreads on some of those games. Like Duke's not losing this game. St. John shouldn't lose tonight. Those kind of things. But the 7-8 game, like the Georgia Gonzaga game, it's a tough game to choose. So that might ruin might ruin the whole thing. I can't see my boys beating Gonzaga in the first round, but we'll see about it.
17 parlay, and you're only getting 10-to-1. For me, it's just not worth it.
No. I'm just throwing an example out there. There's so many different
30-to-1.
Like for me so many different combinations. Yeah.
For me to waste my time, I'll put up a G note to win 30.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put up a G note to win 10.
Yeah, there's so many combinations, man. It's just absolutely astronomical. But I like it I like what later on when you get a feel for these teams. I'm looking forward to seeing Alabama and Florida. I always root against Duke, so Michigan State's always my sleeper pick. That sometimes Michigan State is the team where they a lot of times just choke in the first round, so they kind of ruin things. So I'm excited. I just love watching these games, and so far so good with the North Carolina game. So that was a good start.
What are we doing with this dip in the Qs this morning?
I got to tell you, if you guys trade futures, last night was absolutely. I mean, it really got started at around 5 this morning. What a sell-off! I mean, so I'm looking at this as I might have missed the big move of the day. We were really, really patient yesterday. We had a really good trade on Williams Sonoma of all stocks.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what was so good about yesterday.
Well, we remained patient. We stayed focused on those names, and I was just showing people how you could stay focused on one symbol and wait for the setup, and then the risk reward just shows itself. You get your faux show, bro, and then again, Williams Sonoma, the first one it worked, but it was a very small trade, and then the second one it worked, but you still had to trade out of it. The third one was the one where you got the shakeout, then the breakout, and that was even better than the first two. And then later on, we even did Williams Sonoma later in the day. So 4 for 4 on Williams Sonoma, just trading the ebb and flow of the name. And again, I was just reading one of the emails that we sent out. When we have these conversations in the morning, and I talk about, I'm looking to short Carvana, I'm looking to do this. Sometimes by the end of the sentence, we might be done with that trade. I have Carvana on as a swing trade short. It's like one of the only positions I have, but I sell naked calls on the stock. So I could withstand a 20-point move in my face because I'm selling $250 calls out in June and, almost like in December and July and January, just betting the stock's never going over 250. And, when the stock starts to crater, yeah, it's nice. You could take in that premium and you could cover that naked call. So, that's really the way I've been shorting Carvana. And then when it turned, they had some news on it, which was negative. Amazon was getting into the used car business and it kind of hit the stock. We broke that one level where I thought we would cascade down and it caught a bid. And next thing you know, we're trading Carvana long, which sounds ironic, but I'm not going to not trade a faux show, bro, especially because I'm short some calls out there on another account. So a lot of activity yesterday. Some of the guys were saying this was a nothing burger. The initial reaction sort of was a nothing burger. But once we consolidated, we had a really nice move on the Qs. We got, 5 points up. When we broke, there was that 478.50, 479.50 little consolidation. We broke out. We had a 4-point move on the Qs, and then we gave it back later in the day. So it was a pretty good afternoon.
Kenny, in the case of like a Carvana, for example, where you're coming in looking to get short, and then you get a faux show, bro, the other way. The way that Michael has it set up on the algorithm, will it pick that up, or is it only in the direction that you entered in the morning? How's that work?
No, I think it's looking specifically for those fake out, shakeout, breakouts below VWAP. So
even if it's in the other direction?
Either direction. Yeah.
Nice.
Again, I think, we're going to have Noss on the show tonight. Guys, if you don't know, tonight, in the middle of all this basketball, we're going to take a little hour and a half break to do the schmooze. Right before St. John's. I will not be around past 9:30, 9:45. I can't wait for the St. John's game. But we're going to have Noss on at around 8 o'clock. We're going to talk about the algo and what we're going to be doing with it. And then we're going to have the lovely and talented Vaz on again, talking about volume profile.
Oh, the lovely and talented Vaz.
Yes.
All right.
She uses volume profile the way I use VWAP. So we're kind of like, illegitimate cousins in a way. So, and I do enjoy her company. So
Vaz has come up in conversation several times this week. Okay.
We partied in Miami. Yeah. We
Mystery
danced.
solved,
JC.
JC. Mystery solved.
Yes.
Okay, guys, if you want to get into Kenny's room, either for the trading room or for the Thursday night schmooze, I guess there's two ways. Go to hitthebit.com, or you can email in, email Mary, email us questions, Stock Market Media, and we will tell you how to get in. But that's how to do it. You can also call. Our number is in the description on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
hey, to that point, I just want to mention selling naked calls, not for everybody. That's why I'm, over 120, 130 points away on those. And also on the QQQ. I'm selling I was selling $600 calls, which obviously is working out pretty well. I was selling these at $12 and now they're $2. But yeah, it's a very dangerous trade. That's why we do it way, way out of the money. And then again, just like yesterday, I have no problem just sort of hedging myself when the stock starts to rally. So, again, I have a stop on, good till canceled, no matter what. But I just want to point one more stock. I mean, again, right now, the only one I am looking at this morning, the one I was going to be shorting is this FIVE.
5 below?
Yeah, I believe it's 5 below, but the gap's already been sold off, and it's already been a 5-point move since the VWAP break. So it is trending down. I'm probably going to wait to see if it pops and then rolls. So in this case, now that it's below the VWAP so much, I need to see this thing back at 82.50 for a shot to short it. I don't really want to chase the short. It's a very volatile stock, so be careful if you're looking at that one. And, tonight we got some decent earnings. We got Micron Technology. So a lot to talk about tonight, and tomorrow should be pretty active.
Wow. All right. Hit thebid.com. Kenny Glick.
Peace, brother.
Good luck today and tomorrow.
Later, Kenny. Go get him, buddy.
All right. We got Julius in the house. Let's get him on here.
Love it.
When I first discovered relative rotation graphs, I'm a visual learner. So I was like, this is awesome because it just shows you the rotation in chart form. And I thought this is brilliant. So we got the guy that came up with that right here. So let's bring him out. He sent over a few charts as well. And we'll talk.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Julius.
Hey, JC. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, buddy?
Well,
I'm
all right.
thinking, I have a story. I got to tell a story. So my wife and I are in Amsterdam, right? We're hanging out with Julius, right? We go get some drinks and everything like that. But one of the nights you recommended this, an Indonesian restaurant.
Yep. Yeah.
Sama Sebo, right? Fantastic. Highly recommend. So I told my wife, I'm like, oh, we're going to go get Indonesian food. Julius says this place is great, right? So we're in Amsterdam. We go to the place, nothing fancy, just nice little restaurant. Perfect. Julius says, order the tasting menu. All right. So I've been to plenty of restaurants in my day. I could get down with a tasting menu or two, really course it out. Hell yeah, let's do this. Let me tell you something, Spencer. They bring out reinforcements, right? Other waiters from the other side of the restaurant to cart in all of the food. So the tasting menu at Sama Sebo is not portioned out over time. They bring it all to you at once. And we ordered 2 tasting menus. So they
can't do that. They can't do that
together. They're wheeling it in. And my wife's looking at me like, did you order all this? I'm like, yeah, that's what Julius told me to order. And the whole table's full. And then wait, there's more. They keep bringing it. They're stacking them. I couldn't even see my wife because there was so much stacked food in between us. So shout out Sama Sebo. I had a nice little Beaujolais. I still remember. I was drinking a Côte de Brouilly, believe it or not. I still remember that with the Sama Sebo. So thank you, Julius. It was quite the experience. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and they're all different. I don't think you had two plates of the same stuff. It's all little thingies. I mean,
we probably had 200 plates on that table. I'm not even exaggerating. I have to find a picture. There's a picture somewhere. I'll find it.
Yeah. When we go there, we just eat at the bar. There is a they have the locals. We go sit at the bar. You can't make reservations. You go walk in and wait until seats free up, and then you sit on the bar and you just get a plate. You ask for a plate, and they'll give you this little nice thingy, and you have a few beers. And in the restaurant where you have the tasting menu and the a la carte stuff, that's where they bring out all the good stuff.
It was out of control. It was delicious.
It is. Yeah.
Shout out Amsterdam. Julius, Mr. Relative Rotation Graphs himself. Julius, I got to tell you, whenever I show a relative rotation graph, especially to someone who's never seen it, they're their heads are exploding. They're like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is unbelievable. Their heads explode. The visualization of momentum and relative strength in that rotation that the relative rotation graph presents. People love it, Julius. Seriously, I could tell you that firsthand. Consistently so. So well done.
Yeah, I know. And you know what it is? I mean, this was, I had it on my screen back in 2000 when I was working at the bank as an analyst. It was 05, 06, 07. And then it was launched on Bloomberg in 2011. And, you know, that basically tells you how much I suck at marketing, because it is still new for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, even after 13 years, it is still new for tons and tons of people. So I need to up my game in the marketing space, I guess. That's the message.
Well, why don't we talk about it? Do you want to show? Why don't you show slide 9? Actually, because that'll probably be a better representation of what it is, and then we can go towards the other ones. So here, why don't you zoom in there, Spencer? So why don't you walk the folks who maybe have never seen a relative rotation graph? I like how you have the tails here.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain to the folks what the hell is going on here with all these lines and colors?
Yeah, so basically what you see on the horizontal scale is what I call the RS ratio. That's a normalized metric for relative strength, for trends in relative strength, not necessarily relative strength outright. And then on the vertical axis, you see the rate of change of that trend. And what that does over time, and I mean, this is a static image, but you can actually animate them dynamically. You will see the rotation going from, if we start in the top right, that's where the what we call the leading quadrant. Those, and we're looking at sectors here. So these sectors are in a relative uptrend versus the S&P 500. S&P 500 is the center of the chart. What the first thing that will happen is that your rate of change will fall over. That's when the sector drops into the weakening quadrant. That's the lower right, the orange yellow one. And then when that weakness in rate of change continues, it will eventually move into the lagging quadrant. That's the bottom left. Those sectors are in a relative downtrend, and that downtrend is being pushed further down by weak momentum. And then again, just like on the other side, the first thing that will happen is that your momentum will start to pick up. That will push it into the improving quadrant, where the sector is still in a relative downtrend, but it's leveling off and starting to pick up. And then if that improvement continues, we will move back into the leading quadrant, where we have a sector that is in a relative uptrend, and that uptrend is still being pushed higher by strong momentum. And that's where you get the rotational characteristics from. That's in a really quick nutshell what they actually do.
Julius, one of the things that I've come to learn over the years of talking with you and talking with others who use this, and kind of just my experience overall. If you could throw the chart back up there, Spencer, it's really the tails around the outside. Like I always think of the Eminem song, "Round the Outside, Round the Outside." Do they have Eminem in Amsterdam?
Of course, yeah, of course. Everything you guys have, we have too.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I didn't know you were like an 8 Mile kind of guy.
I don't know if we have all the lingo with it, but we we do know all the stuff.
I didn't know you get down with Slim Shady, but anyway, for those who do, like round the outside, like the ones that are going around the outside are really the ones that we want to pay attention to the most. Those are the stronger trends. Do I have that right? Can you?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I've learned over time. And what you're referring to is the distance from the center, so the deviation from the benchmark. And those give you the best options for alpha, because they have moved away from the benchmark a lot. And it's in the end of the day, mean reversion type stuff. If you move away a long way on one side, you're very likely to move a long way to the other side. So the ones that are on the outside will give you the biggest opportunities to generate alpha. The chart that we have up right now is actually an interesting one. We came up later, like a couple of years after we had relative rotation graphs as they were in the beginning. I was looking at these charts, and because this is what I call a closed universe. These are the 11 sectors compared to the S&P 500. So everything that's in that benchmark is on the chart, and you would intuitively expect an evenly spread out universe, because if one is positive, the other one has to be negative. And this is actually a pretty good example, because you see a ton of stuff on the left hand side of the graph and a lot less on the right hand side of the graph, and also a lot in the upper half and less in the lower half. And I was talking to Matthew Verdau, well, the creator of Optima.
Yeah.
And we're like discussing like, what is this? How is this not working? And then, eventually came up like, okay, this has to do with the market capitalization. Technology is the biggest sector. So it's a bit of a push-pull thing. If tech moves in one way, by default, mathematically, you have to have stuff moving the other way. And I actually did a whole talk on this subject for the 50th anniversary of the CMT Association. But this is the synopsis of that. And what you see here is these bubbles represent market capitalization of the sectors. So you can see how insanely big information technology is inside this universe. And then a lot of people think that consumer discretionary is the second one, but it's actually financials and healthcare are bigger than consumer discretionary. But what it tells you is you see that because that big red blob of technology is now moving into the lagging quadrant, we have to have other sectors being pushed into that improving quadrant and going up. Now, just to clear up something that might confuse people, this does not mean that, for example, the price of the healthcare sector goes up. It's a relative thing. This can all work out with the S&P going down, and you will still see sectors moving into the leading quadrant.
Yeah, they can all be going down. It could be a complete market crash or a complete market melt up, right? In either direction.
Absolutely, and you will still see, because that is the whole concept of relative strength. And I actually learned that the hard way back in 1990 when I was working for Robeco, asset manager in the Netherlands. I was an analyst. I was a young technical analyst, and our bonuses at the time were tied to our performance. We were publishing stock reports, and they were measuring our performance. And in the Netherlands, you've got the AEX index, 25 stocks. This was somewhere second half of the 90s, super bull market, prices going up. And as good technical analysts, there were breaks all over the place. So we had 25 stocks on a long position. How in the world are you going to outperform a benchmark if you have the entire benchmark? It's just not going to work. So that's how I learned the added value of relative strength. You need to pick the best of the best. Even if it's going up, there are stocks that are doing better than others. And the same goes on the downside. If the entire market tanks, very likely utility staples, healthcare will raise to the top, even though their prices are going down. So this is a story of, this position lost 5%, but the market lost 10%. So we outperformed the market by 5%. Yay. We lost 5% of our money, but we still outperformed.
And so up at the top of that chart, you could see energy and healthcare heading from the improving quadrant into the leading quadrant.
Yes.
You take that as, and particularly around the outside, right? So do you take that as kind of like maybe we should pay closer attention to healthcare stocks, to energy stocks? Maybe that's a place that we should be looking versus say something like communications, which is now entering the lagging.
Yeah, so there's a few things going on here. So first of all, the horizontal scale, the RS ratio, I still consider that to be the strongest metric, the most important metric. So communication services for me is still the strongest sector in the universe, even though it's going through that little rotation into weakening.
Can you tell me why? Can you explain to me why, Julius? Which is you're saying the vertical or the horizontal line?
The horizontal. So the RS ratio scale is the most. So the further to the right, that's most important. That is a more important metric than the vertical axis. The reason is that what you will often see, and as the further to the right, the bigger the odds, is that you will get a rotation from from leading into weakening and then back into leading. And what that means is because it is essentially, it's tracking what I call a raw relative strength line on a chart. These are not straight lines. They behave like normal price charts. You got higher highs and higher lows. You got trends going on. And what happens when a sector moves from leading to weakening back into leading is basically the relative strength line making a higher low. So it's confirming that uptrend. If you move from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, that's where you move from a relative downtrend transitioning into a relative uptrend. When you go leading, weakening, leading, you are basically starting the second or third or a new up lag in an already established relative uptrend. So what we've learned is that the risk when a sector curls back up while it's inside the weakening quadrant is a lot less, because it is already, you're trading in the direction of the trend. And that's what's happening with communication services right now. It's still going through, but because it has such a high reading, the odds of it to curl back up and never hit the lagging quadrant in this rotation, they are increasing. So that's why communication services for me is still very strong. Then obviously financials, it's a very strong sector. It's the only one inside the leading quadrant picking up momentum. So that is definitely a very good sector. And then what you said, healthcare, energy, staples, utilities, they're all moving in that direction. And then healthcare is definitely on the radar. And I started writing a series of blogs, which is called the best 5 sectors. I do that on stockcharts.com. And the reason is that I started working on a mechanical algorithmic model just based on RRG values, which I hacked together. And I did a lot of back tests on that, and it actually comes out pretty well. But you know how it is with back tests. You can just test forever, and then you have a back test, and then you put it aside, and then 6 months later you say, hey, you dust it off, and then, oh, this did really well. So I sort of forced myself to keep it up to date. So I started writing that blog. I do that every week, called the best 5 sectors. And I've actually on Yahoo Finance, you can actually have they've got a very nice portfolio tool where you can enter your trades in, and it'll mimic everything. So I keep it up there. And why am I telling this? Oh yeah, because this week actually energy is now moving in the top 5. So I'm writing those articles usually on Friday or over the weekend.
What got kicked out? What got kicked out?
Sorry?
Which sector got kicked out of the top 5?
Staples. Yeah, right. Staples kicked out.
Julius, I want to move to the intermarket because for me the intermarket complex right now is so fascinating when you're seeing precious metals and base metals doing what they're doing, the dollar getting the crap kicked out of it, rates falling, bonds rising, stocks all over the world going up except America.
Exactly.
I want to hear your thoughts as somebody who doesn't have someone. Julius De Kempenaer is not from Texas, folks. He is not from Ohio. Julius De Kempenaer does not have this American home country bias at all. He just enjoying his horses in the Netherlands. No big deal.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I always accuse with a wink a lot of American people that their world stops when they hit the water. It's the end of the world. When you hit the water, it's the end of the world. Only
but
the
that's
US
real,
counts.
Julius. Like, people really believe that. Like, Spencer won't even leave New Jersey. He won't even go. He won't even cross a river. Spencer, like Arthur Avenue for some Italian food in Little Italy. Like, he won't even do that because there's a bridge involved, maybe a tunnel. He just won't do it. He's American.
I went to New Jersey last year for the first time in my life. It's such a nice train station. You go from the World Trade Center. It's only a short hop to Jersey City. It's great. It's easy.
Yeah, you don't need to go there. Stay in Manhattan.
Stay in Manhattan. All right. Okay. I'll take your words. I'll take your word. If you're
coming all the way from Amsterdam, you don't need to go to Jersey City, Julius. Go.
Nah, that's true. Nah, I had to visit a company there.
Go to the village. You don't have to go to Jersey City. Jersey City's fine, but you don't have to fly from Amsterdam to go there. Is what I'm saying.
I was in the neighborhood anyway, so I just hopped over.
Go to Hoboken if you're gonna go there. Go to Hoboken, way better.
Yeah, all right.
Stick with me, Julius. All right, stick with me. I'll eat your Indonesian food around in your town.
I'll hit you up next time I'm in New York. Cause you're back in New York now, aren't you?
I'm about an hour west of Manhattan, a little over an hour west.
All right. Yeah,
so not far. I'm in when I need to be. I'm in a couple times a month.
I still had you in Sonoma for some reason.
Oh, those were the days, Julius. Those were the days, my friend. I've been gone. Yeah. I left in 19. So what are we, 2025? I've been gone for a while.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Well,
but listen, back. Talk to me. Talk to me about this. Put up the intermarket chart there, Spencer. Slide 7.
Yeah, so this is a chart that I use for asset class rotation. I mean, the principle remains the same. The only thing that I got to tell you, so the benchmark here is an S&P benchmark that takes total return for stocks and total return for long bonds, 20 plus year bonds. So 50-50 balanced index type of index. And what you see here is the rotation of the various asset classes around that benchmark. And very clearly, SPY is now inside the weakening quadrant and heading towards lagging together with the dollar index. So that is a sort of a message that, you know, stocks are now underperforming or at risk. If you look at the two green tails, those are commodity indices. You see the strength of commodities. They had a very nice and long run after a notoriously long period of underperformance for commodities. They came out of that range and it started breaking up. I think that has now come to a rest. But again, what I just explained to you, the very high readings of those commodity indices give them plenty of room to actually go through a bit of a correction and then curl back up. So I'm still really looking closely at commodities. Stocks, despite the fact that I'm probably in the long-term bull camp, I see some headwind ahead of us. So I don't think we're out of the doldrums yet. We need to have a little bit more of a correction, especially if you look at that sector chart that we just saw, where tech is really driving the market down. Consumer discretionary is going the wrong way. It's not going to. I don't think it's going to crash, but we need those big important sectors to move up to actually, you know, push the stock market as a whole higher. What you see here is that government bonds and corporate bonds are actually inside improving and moving towards the leading quadrant. And that tells me that right now the ratio of stocks versus bonds is tilting in favor of bonds. You know, so if you're a longer term investor and you do some asset allocation, you should definitely look at some bonds in your portfolio. High yield is interesting. That's closest to the stock market in terms of behavior, but that is very close to the benchmark. So that is kind of behaving like the benchmark. You're not going to make a lot of money in high yield bonds, or at least you're not going to create a lot of outperformance using high yield bonds.
Right. More importantly.
Yeah. So so that is the, you know, the intermarket analysis as I see it right now. Commodities pretty hot. Stocks not so much. Dollar really under pressure right now, and the bond complex, you know, picking up. Government bonds, safe haven, etc., etc., etc.
Can we talk about Dutch stocks?
You know what? I hardly look at Dutch stocks, but you can ask me. You can talk about it. What do you want to know?
Well, start with slide 2 there, Spencer, please. You know, so when I'm looking at Europe, not just Amsterdam, but Sweden and Oslo, and, you know, looking at the UK and Germany, of course, France, and even, you know, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Greece, all of those. And, you know, the resiliency that we've been seeing in European equities, the Netherlands included, of course, but just across the board. I mean, the outperformance that we've been seeing is something that we haven't seen relative to American stocks. Some people in their career have never seen it. For me, I would have to go back and check the data, see if we hit any kind of rate of change like this back in the 2000s. We may have, but not even the point. The fact that we have to go that far and not even know if you know, this might be the biggest outperformance of all time, depending on how you calculate it. Like somebody who's not American, somebody who is American, and I look at this stuff all the time, so like it's not that big of a deal for me. But a lot of Americans who forgot that there are stocks overseas, and, you know, forgot that stocks overseas can outperform for a prolonged period of time, you know, will look at something like this and be like, wow, you know. But how does someone like yourself, boots on the ground in the Netherlands, see this kind of outperformance? How do you feel about that?
First of all, I mean, the Netherlands, yes, but for me, it's part of Europe, so I'm looking at the bigger picture. So yeah, I would always compare Europe against the US.
I mean, look at the Euro Stock 600.
Yeah, 100%.
It looks like this.
Absolutely, yeah, they do. You know, and if you if you would slam them on an RRG, which I now have in front of me, I didn't share that one with you, but what you will see is that when you put something like the MSCI World as the center, as your benchmark, you will see those European stocks, you will see Hong Kong, you see Mexico, you see Korea, you see Brazil, all pushing to that top right hand, and then the S&P is moving to the lower left, together with Australia and the Nikkei index. And something that's actually really strong, which is making that turn inside weakening and curling back up, believe it or not, is China, is the Shanghai index. That is turning back up. And what's really, really bad right now is Indonesia and India. That's even worse than the S&P 500.
Yeah, India, especially with that rotation into China, India's gotten hit a lot harder than even I expected. I mean, Strazza was like, oh my God, India's going to get killed. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it gets killed, but I could see some underperformance most definitely. And no, it got killed.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I know you are one of the few Americans that I know who actually look at international markets. So there is much more outside of the US, and the good thing is you got plenty of ETFs to take advantage of that.
Yeah, throw up the new slide too, Spencer. Yeah, speaking of ETFs to take advantage of that. What's really interesting, Julius, is that a lot of these ETFs have existed for a long time. But fun fact, there have been only 2 European ETF launches in the last 6 years. Only 2.
Yeah, because there are so many. It's I mean, I think it's like a saturated space. I mean, you can pretty much buy an ETF on anything that moves, to be honest.
Look at so this is EWN. So this is the Netherlands ETF, and I mean, call me crazy, but what's there not to like, Julius?
That's true. It is to like. The only thing is this EWN. That's. I mean, I agree with you on your view of the world, but what I don't agree, and I see that all the time with American people, you do international markets and you look at the. This is a Dutch tracking stock, an ETF that tracks the Dutch market, but it's quoted in US dollars.
Yep.
So
versus
to me,
the index itself, which is quoted in local.
Exactly. And the market is made in local. So what your chart here is largely driven by euro dollar exchange rate stuff. So the way I think, and I tell people how you should do it, you should look at the index, the chart that you just had up, which obviously looks a lot like the US dollar because it's not too much of a difference. But if you take it over, this is what the real. Actually, you see it pretty good. If you look at this, you would actually put them side by side. Here you see that the AEX has actually made a new higher high and is pushing against, those previous stops. If you look at EWN, it's not doing that. If you look at the positions of the highs and the lows, look at that. That's a different chart. This EWN is not what the market is trading.
That's right.
EWN is the result of the chart that we had prior times the euro dollar exchange rate. So, yep. and now for euros versus dollars. Okay, if I take a really step back and look through my eyes, like it's probably the same. But for some markets, that exchange rate difference is huge. So I would always tell people.
And in some markets more than others, like Argentina, Turkey.
Exactly.
The euro is not exactly the Turkish lira or.
No, there you go. So what I would tell people is you also for RRG purposes, throw the actual index on the chart, make your analysis on the actual index, and then you want to go build your portfolio. You cannot buy that index. So you're going to transit to an ETF. So you buy the ETF and basically there is a second decision that you have to take. Do I accept that currency risk? And maybe if your portfolio is big enough, do I want to hedge it? Do I want to hedge away my euro, if you're in America, your euro risk? For me, that's a secondary decision. So yep. I look at the underlying index, and the ETF is a tool to get exposure to that market.
And Julius, to your point, like in some cases, you might want the dollar as the denominator. If you think the euro's going to rally, then you're better off owning the Netherlands in dollars.
Absolutely. But that's what I mean. It's a separate decision.
It's a separate decision.
Yeah, it's a separate decision. So it's a two-step rocket, by the way.
That's right. That's right.
So
So I think,
no.
and correct me if I'm wrong, how you feel about it. For me, we've been toying with this. Do we look at all these countries around the world in local currency? Do we look at them priced in U.S. dollar? The answer for us is both. Right? We analyze both always, and make our decisions accordingly.
I totally, yeah, but that's where you're basically when you do both, that's when you take the currency risk into consideration.
Yep.
You look at the chart of the index, you're like, hey, that looks good. And then you look at the dollar denominated one, and you're like, oh no, we don't want that.
Well, when the dollar's been ripping, that's going to be your reaction, because a lot of these countries don't have that dollar denominator holding it back. So when it does, flip it on its head, when the dollar's getting killed, well, now these other, right now it's a much different story. So
yeah, but then again, you may look at the stock market index of that country and say, I don't like that, but you can still buy the currency against the dollar. So you just leave away the stock market exposure if you want to.
All right, Julius, I have to ask before we let you run. When we got together years back, all you were doing is bitching and complaining about all the horses. Do you now have more horses or fewer than you did 5 years ago? Let's just say.
You want the honest answer?
I want the honest answer.
There's more.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I absolutely knew it.
And it's
is
not
it more of a pain in the neck, or are you getting used to it?
A bit of both. I'm getting used to it, and it's actually good fun. I mean, it's my big advantage is we haven't spoken for a long time, but the space that I'm sitting in right now is actually brand new. We completely revamped my office, which took way longer than expected.
Always.
We're getting into, I still have probably that door. There is no glass in that door yet. So there's still a few things that need to be fixed. You can't hear it, but upstairs they're now hammering and sawing and stuff because they're doing the first floor now. So that's all good. And the good thing is, if I walk out of that door 5 steps and I'm outside, in nature, and we've got this 10 horses now. So
wow.
So yeah,
and how far are you from the city?
From here that way to the central station is a little over a mile. It's 2 kilometers, so it's a mile and a little bit. And then I take the train, and the first stop is Rotterdam, and the second stop is Schiphol. So I can be at the airport in less than an hour.
Wow,
and
that's pretty good.
City of Amsterdam is.
You ride your motorcycle into the city ever, or no?
No, just a bike, just push bike. Easier to park. Yeah. No, so for me, the good thing is that I can just walk, especially now that the weather is getting better. I love getting outside, go on my wheel loader, go on the tractor, do all kinds of stuff, do all kind of course, and then here's my space where I can do my work and chat with guys like you and look at the markets.
Julius, last question. What type of horses? The chat wants to know.
What type of horses?
Oh, there were different kinds.
There are plenty. So we have a Spanish Cruzado, which basically means we have not the fucking clue what kind of animal that is. That was the first one. And the second one was a Belgian Haflinger. And then we have 2 little Shetland ponies. Then we have what's called a KWPN, which is a Dutch breed. We've got 2 of those, and one of them has a filly, which is now 2 years old. And then those are ours. And then 2 horses from friends. One is a Frisian, big Frisian, and the last one is I don't even know what that is, a little pony. I don't know what kind of I don't know what breed is that, but yeah, it's a big mix. It's one big herd. They're all together. We don't have to separate them. So yeah, it's good fun. And
I love how much you know about horses, Julius. It's so good.
I learned.
Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very good at raking pastures and fixing wheel loaders and doing all the driving tractors and fixing tractors and all that kind of stuff as well. Last 5 years.
I am not. I don't know how to do any of those things. I'd probably make it worse.
You need to come here because I've got videos of Matthew Verdal on the wheel loader. I got Eugene on the wheel loader. I got John Bollinger on the wheel loader. It's good fun.
All
Everybody
right, I'm
comes
in.
here.
I'm in.
wants
You
to-
hear that,
want-
Spencer? We're going to the Netherlands. Let's go.
Want to play with heavy machinery. That's
Somebody
like,
get
everybody
Dutch.
everybody loves that.
I just saw on Twitter, Bloomberg is looking for an Amsterdam bureau chief. I will apply for that job. I will become the Amsterdam bureau chief for Bloomberg, and we can go take care of horses together.
Of
How
course.
about that?
Yeah. You're
How
welcome.
about that, JC?
We'd miss you, Spencer. We'd miss you if that were the case.
Hey, you can do it from here.
All right,
right.
maybe. All right.
Drop
Julius,
the, we'll put the link in the show notes, guys. Mr. Relative Rotation Grass, Mr. Julius De Kempenaer. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, man. And will I see you in San Francisco next week? Next
No.
month? No. Ah, bummer. Too bad.
No,
Would have been fun.
I live a different lifestyle these days, Julius. You know, a little bit different. You know, I know.
Well, Someday we'll meet again. We'll have a
Someday
good
we'll
glass of
meet
wine.
again in New York City for some real food. You don't need to go to Jersey City. All right.
I'll hit you up.
Thank you,
when I'm there.
Julius.
Later.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure, mate.
Guys, the link to his site is in the description, relativerotationgraphs.com.
So 2 things there.
Yeah.
Hoboken way better than Jersey City, and Sama Sabo. Next time you're in Amsterdam, Sama Sabo. I don't know if you should get the tasting menu because they bring out a lot of food. Sama Sabo.
All right. We got Shawnee in the house, so let's get him on here, and then we'll wrap, do some recess, get out of here, and go fill out our brackets. How about that?
Love it.
Wait, I lied. Sean was here, and then I don't know where he went.
Oh man, I wanted to hear from Sean.
Oh wait, no, he's here. He's back. Sean, are you here? Yeah. Okay. He's back.
Johnny baby.
Wow, you guys threw me on quick. I wasn't ready for that.
You were here like 10 minutes ago. I saw you.
No, I wasn't.
Sean, you hear that? We got the invite to Amsterdam. You want to go?
I'm in. I'm on the first flight. Let's go.
Dude,
By the way,
Amsterdam is awesome.
I love Julius. He's a great guy. I met him for the first time in India, and what a great guy. And I almost spit out my coffee, JC, when you said Julius, not from Texas.
No. You know, because I mean, I pick on Texas, but it's any state. But be like, I live in Texas. I don't even know where that country is. I live in America. It's like, all right. What does it matter whether you know where you live? Like, if line go up, let's go.
Right. Hey, so I wanted to start off by giving a slow clap, a little slow clap for anybody who tuned into our State of the Markets emergency live stream yesterday. You might remember I came in hot about the volume in the S&P and the Qs, talking about how we haven't seen an increase in the volume on a green day in a long time, right? Well, guess what, guys? In the last hour yesterday, the market did its job. Barely. The S&P scooched out. I mean, it's a percentage I can't even calculate in my head right now, but a barely increase in volume yesterday in the S&P. So, hey, I
didn't know that you were such a volume whore.
You guys having a hard time hearing me because everything seems okay on my side.
Oh, we're good.
I think just put the mic closer, talk into the mic, I think.
Like this?
Yeah, there you go.
I never do this. I don't know why this is.
I know, but you have
such
a sexy voice. Like,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a really sexy voice. We've talked about this before.
It's a voice. It's a voice for radio. Yes, I've heard this before. Or I got a face
voice.
for radio.
I don't know what to tell you. You do not sound like the Cuban John Madden.
No, I do not. I don't sound like the Cuban anything.
Okay, so tell me about all this volume you've been whoring out about.
Well, you know, we've a lot of people have been trying to call the turn in the market, right? Trying to call a bottom on this correction, if that's what we're calling it. And you know, I like bull markets as much as the next guy, and I prefer bull markets too. But I just feel like we were all being a little premature and trying to catch the turn when we hadn't seen any confirmation from the market telling us that, hey, this might be a bottom. I mean, maybe I'm a little old school, guys. I mean, one of my first entrees to technical analysis and to market analysis when I was learning to trade back in the late 90s is I read all the books by William O'Neill, right? And William O'Neill always talked about a market will not bottom until you have a follow-through day, what he called a follow-through day. And that was a day of increasing volume, where the indexes rise on increasing volume, 2 to 7 or 2 to 10 days following the actual low price, right? And he says, it doesn't work every time, but every bull market has started that way through like history. And so I'm a little old school to that. And that's something I pay attention to when we're in corrective phases. And it serves me well. It has served me well over time, and it has kept me out of trying to get prematurely into bull markets or into bull phases. And so that's what I've been waiting for. That's what I'm watching for right now. And yesterday's move, I mean, look, we did get the increase in volume. I don't know if that's the signal I'm looking for. It was very tepid. We finished well off the highs. I need to see more, but at least we got something. We got something that maybe we could stick our foot in the ground and start building a pivot here. I don't know. We'll see. How's that for my amateur technical analysis?
I'm a little bit frozen. Give me a second, guys.
Wait. We had Steve for a second. I don't know if we do.
What's going on? We got technical difficulties going on here.
We had Steve. We had JC. Now we have neither. It's okay.
My mic, you guys aren't hearing me? What's going on here?
Oh, we hear you fine.
Okay.
Here, Strazza, just turn your camera off maybe, and then we can just hear you. All right.
No, I hear you on that, Sean. I'm just, I was just a little surprised to hear how much volume means to you. Like I've known you for so long. It's the first time I've ever heard you use those words in my life.
Well, it's not something I track that closely, but at times like this, I do.
No, right? I get that. I get that. That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I see Brian Harris calling me a volume whore. All right. Okay.
I called you a volume whore.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. You have been this week. I didn't know that you got down like that.
All right.
So talk to me about this market. You got that volume you were looking for yesterday. Some smart folks that we're friends with, are looking for a massive rotation back into the United States and out of, these leaders in Latin America and Europe and in Southeast Asia, and rotation very aggressively back into America. I don't know that I believe that. I guess I wouldn't be surprised. But I haven't seen much evidence of that yet. But that would certainly be interesting.
I feel like it's too soon for that. I feel like, yeah, we've had a little bit of a, rethinking of of where investing dollars should be placed worldwide. But did the world make up its mind in 20 days? I don't think so. These things take time.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some rotation back into America and out of those areas. But, based on all those momentum thrusts that we've been getting, bigger picture, even if we correct here and get back into America a little bit, I think bigger picture, I think we really need to be open-minded about a big shift. Straz, are you there? No?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, loud and clear.
No, I think you could. I'm looking for a nice little red to green reversal. You're already seeing in some areas here this morning. I think you could start taking some shots. Speculative growth.
Speculative growth. Strazza, all about the speculative growth. And when you say speculative growth, are you only talking about ARK in this case or more?
Look at something like Shopify here. You had a nice candle yesterday. Let's engulf that, get back above the VWAP from the pivot highs. That's a failed top. Momentum didn't really get oversold. Stuff like that. I think there's still low probability trades here, but I think you could start dipping your toes in. Things I like a lot more are setups that look like, do we have the Petroleo Brasileiro?
Ooh.
Ooh, PBR. I used to drink PBR in college.
Me too.
So this is a much higher probability trade, in my opinion, and I like this a whole hell of a lot more. Something like this.
Can you just say that again? Can you pronounce what is this name of this company?
Nope. Butchered it once. That's enough. But look, we got a beautiful coil here at the upper bounds of a massive multi-year base. This stock has been dog shit my whole career. You got the VWAP from the old all-time highs going all the way back to the pre-financial crisis. If this one breaks out, you just have to be involved. This one checks so many boxes, right? This is Brazil. It's short US dollars. It's long energy, the massive bases in energy, international over US. There's a lot here. This is not tech. This is not US growth. Boy, is it risk. All right, I like that you guys don't like it.
No, I like where your head is at a lot. I was actually just quoting you. I like this. I like where your head is at a lot. Short the dollar. It's international. It's not large cap U.S. growth. It's energy. What else did you say? It's Brazil.
It's that same pattern.
It's that same pattern. Yep.
You know?
Hey, Strazza, how you
pretty big
feeling about
company.
how you feeling about Alibaba here? I'm still loving the way this thing's holding up.
The Bob's is just so good.
I mean, it's gapped down today, but I mean, it's still, in that pattern where it's just consolidating a high tight flag here.
Yeah, I think let it dance, let it build up that energy, let that flag, build for another week or two. These guys have really earned a good digestion here, and as long as Bob is above, I don't know, it's at this point 20 points north of its base breakout level or that VWAP from the prior cycle highs. So I think you can even buy weakness back towards the 120s on something like this if you get it.
Yeah.
I think they've earned a cool off. I think the whole international theme is due for a cool off. It's everybody loves it now, all of a sudden. So it's probably going to stop working for a little bit.
Yeah.
ex-US. Here, I'll tell you about the Trump trade, right? If tariffs were so damn bad for countries around the world, has anybody been hit harder than Mexico or Canada? What we've done to our North American friends in the North and South here is absolutely insane. Mexico's up double digits this year through it, and Canada's green on the year, doing a lot better than us. Who else did we rock with tariffs? How about China? How's China doing? So all this nonsense about tariffs, make a list of the countries who have been affected or should have been impacted most negatively by tariffs, and then go look at their stock market performance. So it's just crazy town that this is all that people want to talk about.
Hey, can I ask an idiot tariffs question?
I probably don't know the answer.
When tariffs are charged or applied to goods coming into America, where does that money go? Does that go to our U.S. Treasury?
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple as that.
So just like tax dollars.
Okay.
Tariffs.
I didn't know if that I don't know if it went to like a certain bureau. You know how like the SEC charges fines and they keep the money to pay for keeping the lights on at the SEC, that kind of thing.
I'm pretty sure it's U.S. Treasury, right? Because that goes into the whole, deficit situation, paying down the national debt. So more tariffs means we get more money, but then the problem is that, that's just going to be inflation that's passed on, right? So then if there's more charged on the sales of the goods, then they're just going to raise the prices of those goods.
Okay.
But I don't think people stop doing business.
I've personally noticed the increase, which is always the case, but increase in medicines. As a guy who's been sick all week, having to go to the Walgreens and buy new medicines, I've been noticing the medicines I tend to buy have gone up in price lately.
That's interesting. Yeah. And we'll probably see it with commodities pretty good too. Notice how we're talking a lot more and more about commodities and the trends in commodities. They're looking better and better. Maybe tariffs have something to do with that.
Yesterday in our team meeting, was it you who said like we're 27 minutes in and we haven't mentioned stocks yet?
45 damn minutes. No U.S. equities.
What were you guys talking about? I missed it.
We were talking about the things that we need to be talking about, the things that are moving. We're talking about platinum. That platinum. Woo! Wait, nobody talking about that platinum, son. We
are. A lot of copper, some silver. You know what?
I've been wearing that platinum. People think it's silver. I've been wearing that platinum.
I got a hot one for you too. I don't want to buy gold and silver right here, right now. That's another one. That's all anybody wants to talk about right now. It just seems like let those things kind of dance and cool off.
Man, that platinum though.
I like the platinum.
Is there an equity vehicle for platinum? There is, right?
Yeah, it's liquid too.
What is it?
PPLT, big coil, big
yeah,
coil.
It's a lot more liquid than you'd think for something like platinum. All right, Spencer, what do you say we do a little reset? Let's get the hell out of here. We got some work to do. We got some trades to put on, little YOLOing to do.
Watch Madness, baby.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll start. So I got this Time magazine, The Crash. This was from November the 2nd, 1987.
Show it again. Okay, look at that. Very nice. That's nice.
November 1987. Here's the rule: if a magazine like this says The Crash, just fucking buy as many stocks as you can. Right. This was the bottom, right? Obviously, lesson learned.
I love that you collect magazines like.
No, I started pulling them out because I have them in boxes, and then we were talking about them, so I started looking through it. I got some great shit, so I'm gonna start dripping them into our shows.
Well, I just think it's cool. You got them in a sleeve like an old baseball card. That's awesome.
Oh, I have some of them, like some of the more rare ones. Like I have them in the hard cases.
That's awesome.
I know.
So my recess is I'm a little bummed this year. I've been in this March Madness pool for 13 years, but the pool itself is like 25 years old. It's from my college roommate, and this pool is massive. It has like 5,000 people, payouts for like 50 grand, and this year they're not doing it, and I'm a little bit bummed because this was like a tradition that I looked forward to every year. So now I just have to find like smaller pools or do stuff with like do like the.
What happened? Did it get doged?
I don't know. I emailed like the dude that runs it now. It's my roommate's brother. I was like, and he didn't respond to me, so I don't know. But rest in peace.
Hey, can we do a PSA because mostly I don't know how to do it, but where can I stream basketball games on my computer today? Because
there's a March Madness app, Sean, that's specific to March Madness where every game is in there and you can kind of go back and forth because the problem is they're on 4 different channels. They're on like CBS, they're on TNT, they're HTV.
Oh, you just have to download another app.
You need
apps to get the apps.
That's what I do.
I'm the best at TV. You get a 30-day free trial of YouTube TV. There's no other way to do it.
Now you're talking. First of all, you should just have YouTube TV as it is, to be fair.
That's right.
So I do have YouTube TV, but
watch it there.
A month ago, I put my subscription on pause because we once football season's over, we're like, all right, we're not watching any TV for a while. So my cool. YouTube TV is currently on pause. I don't want to restart it just to watch 3 weeks of basketball and then
Oh yes, that's a good point from Ryan. I think they're also on the Max. If you have Max or HBO,
I do have Max.
Then they're on there as well because that's
every game.
I think so. It's because it's owned by the same company. It's all owned by whatever the company is, Turner. I don't know what its company's called.
Okay,
but
HBO Max. That's a good move. By the way,
that's Warner. It's Warner
Bros.
Yeah, Warner Media.
Yeah.
I don't know.
By the way, I agree with Steve. By the way, YouTube TV for a sports fan is the best thing in the world. There's nothing better than YouTube TV for whether it's college football, whether it's hockey, whether it's March Madness. Yeah, nothing beats it.
Yeah,
100%. I used to have YouTube TV for basketball, and then the Sunday ticket on the other thing for football. And then once YouTube TV, and I love the basketball. So once YouTube TV got the football, I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, game changer.
This is why these companies are allowed to be monopolies. Literally. Like in court documents one day, they should go and get the conversation we're having and be like, see, we make people's lives better, more convenient, increase the product's value and all this stuff. And that's why they're allowed to be monopolies.
The DirecTV Sunday ticket sucked, and they had a monopoly on that forever. Oh, it was terrible. YouTube TV is so much better.
So
much better.
Listen, I have a problem. Is the NCAA allowing like worse teams in the tournament? Is there some like big push to like let bad teams in the tournament? I don't even know what half of these colleges are. High Point?
That's half the fun.
I know, because if they win the conference, Strazza, you automatically get an automatic bid.
It's half the fun. Yeah,
what the hell is McNeese State? Like,
it's a little tournament, man.
Yeah, I can't even have fun. I think that's where I think Jason Taylor went to McNeese State.
Wofford? They sound like they're good at basketball.
Wofford.
I'll take I'm a seller of Wofford.
So John Oliver, speaking of, I'll be involved on the Hard Rock Bets today. John Oliver did a special this weekend on sports betting and how just absolutely awful and evil it is. And everything that they said on there was 100% true. And it's why you're crazy if you don't own DraftKings stock. It's so sad. It's also true. Get comfortable owning vice stocks and dirty businesses. They tend to be some of the best.
I like where your head's at, Steve-O. I like it.
I didn't make the rules.
Hey, and I agree. I don't even need to watch the John Oliver segment to know that I probably agree with it 100%.
Yeah, likewise, Sean. I don't need to watch it to know what he's going to say.
Morally,
It's
I've
depressing.
been against this whole sports betting thing for so long now. I mean, as a father of a 10-year-old who's very, into sports and watching sports and just getting inundated with betting ads all the time, it makes my skin crawl. I hate it.
So he talks about that, the how absolutely disgusting the commercials are for it, and they do a mock commercial with a bunch of comedians, like a spoof DraftKings. It's really good.
All right. I'll have to check it out. All right. It is Thursday. Sean is doing his jam session at 11 o'clock, and then at noon. Sorry, Sean. I got you. And then at 1 o'clock, normally we do Chart Request Live, but JC is doing a little shindig with Phil Pearlman. Is that happening at 1 o'clock, JC?
Little Pearl Dog action.
JC and Phil will hop on and do a little bit.
Get your mind right.
Yeah, get your mind right. Talk about managing emotions, buying dips, that sort of thing. And we'll send out an email about it. And then Jason Purrs is going live at 2 o'clock to talk about whatever the heck he wants to talk about. So we got a lot going on today.
Platinum.
Yeah, maybe perhaps.
And yes, it is true. PBR has a close to 20% yield. It's insane.
What?
Really true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nuts.
Damn.
Okay.
Damn,
Didn't
son.
realize we were all dividend whores now, but I guess we are.
What happens when your stock does nothing but go down for 15 years?
Okay, cool.
That's also true. That's
All
also
right.
true. Great ticker symbol there.
Great. Top 10 for sure. All right, everyone, smash the like, go make money. Have fun watching basketball or not. We'll see you later, all right?
Adios. YOLO responsibly.
Yep.
I can't take no